We've all had situations where we're creating a video, maybe like this one, and unfortunately it's cold out, so the heat's running or the air's running in the summer, and you get the noise that you really just don't like having to deal with. This one. It's a hum. It's constant. That's where the beauty of iZotope RX Advanced comes in, and their incredible denoising that is built in this software. I've been using iZotope RX for a long time, and it is the one piece of software that I use on every single video that I create on my channel or any client's channel. So today I just want to show you how simple it is to remove that noise, how great it actually works, and why the software should be something you should 100% have on your computer as a video creator, an audio creator, a podcaster, whatever it is. So for this example, I'm actually going to use this file that I'm creating on so I could show you how I would typically remove that sound in a video like this. So let me grab that file and then we'll get to work. Here is the clip that I just recorded. And as you can see, when I drop it on a timeline, and as you can hear, I have clear audio problems with that heater. Listen. Okay, you can see and hear that HVAC is running and loud. Normally, some people would say to me, well, that's what the noise removal is for in Final Cut. I could click on noise removal and I can change the amount like this. Hum, it's constant, and you can't really get it out. And yes, the hum is gone, but as you could hear, it sounds very artificial and sounds very processed. You don't really want your audio sounding like this. That's where the beauty of iZotope RX Advanced comes in. And like I just said there, that's where the beauty of iZotope RX Advanced comes in, and here's my workflow. I prefer to export my audio clip and open it in the standalone application for iZotope because I really like what it allows you to do. I think it processes faster. You can do a lot of previewing, A/B comparisons. You can run a lot of plugins at once rather than having to actually load the plugin individually. I simply will export this whole file. Let's say this is the whole video that I have created. I will export that as an audio only file, just like that. And as soon as I export it, it will open up here in iZotope. And as you can see, the visual that I get in here is so much more in depth and accurate than what I get in Final Cut. Here's how easy it is to remove that sound in iZotope. I simply can choose one of their many plugins that's super good, but in this case we will use voice denoise, which is very common that I will use on a lot of audio files for this kind of stuff exactly. And all you're doing is teaching the voice denoise what is considered noise, and then it's taking that information that it gathered from the learn and processing that sound out of the actual file. So in this case, what I simply would do is highlight an area that is nothing but noise. That's a good thing to do in general. I'd always recommend if you are ever in an area that has some troubled sound, let's say an HVAC or it's busy neighborhood, record a good print of that sound before you even record. Have everyone be quiet, hit record, and just let that roll, because as you see, a print like this is very easy to identify and to teach. And the longer the print you have, the better all the noise removal does, because it really understands what's noise and what's not. So as soon as I click on that and I highlight that area, I can just click up here to what is called learn, and it will basically grab a noise profile from what I just recorded and say this is now noise. Then I can simply play that file, and you can see that if I hit preview, it'll actually just start to preview what that noise removal is going to do before it's actually processed. So I can go ahead and hit preview here, and as you watch me bring this slider up from 0, meaning it's not going to reduce anything, all the way up to a max of 20 on the slider, but you can keep typing in more if you want, you'll hear the noise start to get removed more and more as I'm doing that. So listen closely. That's where the beauty of iZotope RX Advanced comes in. It's a program that I've been using for so many years. It is literally so you can see how it's just removing all of that sound through here. RX Advanced comes in. This is before. Incredible denoising that is built in this software. I've been using iZotope RX. You can hear how natural that is, how incredible it's removing the noise, but it's not really changing the way the voice sounds. Long time, and it is the one piece of software that I use on every. You can also change the reduction here. Single video that I create on my channel. And that's basically just going to bring up where you want that noise floor to technically be at. I normally would just let that be at threshold 0 as its default, unless you really know why you're changing that. You also can change even the individual frequencies of that noise profile to remove those even more if you specifically know EQ enough to be able to do that. I recommend that. If not, I recommend just leaving it whatever they give you as the curve. So you could see I could simply choose that and say, okay, cool, that sounds good to me. I go ahead and render that, and you will see that just like that, now my whole print where we're creating a video, maybe like this one, and unfortunately it's cold out, so the heat's running or the air's running in the summer, and you get the noise. And just hear how clean and good that sounds. Now, if you're in a case like this that is actually fairly simple for iZotope in comparison to how much it can process crazy sounds, you could also just use their adaptive mode, which basically allows it to just kind of automatically adjust based on what it thinks it needs to do. So if I go ahead and click on adaptive here and preview, you'll see that even at that same reduction, it'll do pretty much still the same job. That's where the beauty of iZotope RX Advanced comes in. And you can see that in adaptive mode, all that stuff is changing in real time on the actual plugin for you to be able to adjust whatever you want. Program that I've been using for so many years, it is literally but if you can, it's better to just choose your print, because then you're identifying the noise that they should only look for, and it's not trying to adjust things that might grab the wrong thing. So I really like to learn the profile if I can, but if not, adaptive works really well. I'll sometimes use adaptive if I have a long audio file that maybe was recorded in a bunch of different situations that I know I want to remove some noise overall, but I have prints that are inside, outside, talking, construction. I kind of will sometimes do an adaptive, but typically when I do adaptive, I'll do less reduction. So it's just an overall voice denoise, but it's not going to go crazy trying to adjust things that it might not. So that's literally how easy it is to remove noise in iZotope. And what I love is the fact that in a lot of the work that I do in video production, or maybe you do in video production or even podcasts, more times than not, you don't have the ideal perfect place to record. Right now, I'm in a acoustically treated studio made for sound, so the audio sounds good. I can turn off that HVAC, so what you're hearing now is no processing whatsoever, and it sounds clean, it sounds noise free, there's no other sounds that you hear. This is not what you're normally going to record in. A lot of times you're having to work in big rooms and gymnasiums and things that really aren't ideal for sound at all, but then you're told to try to make it sound as good as possible. So this even helps with it if you're just recording with an iPhone and you have obviously a not so good microphone. iZotope has plugins that are designed to make audio sound so much better than it ever did, and I would be lost without this program. I use it on every single piece of content that I create, and it's been absolutely game-changing for our company. For my personal stuff, I can't recommend it enough. So if you're someone that wants your audio to sound better, even if you don't have the knowledge to understand what every plugin does right away, iZotope is definitely something you should check out. I've been using it for many years. It's the only reason I'm bringing it to you, because I feel like you would find it valuable as well. If you deal with this kind of noise on a regular basis, check it out. Thanks for watching. As always, if you want to see more tutorials like this, comment below. What do you want me to talk about? If it's more specifically to iZotope, happy to dive into those as well. Also, if you're curious to learn more about this studio that I just mentioned, about the fact that it is actually at my home, but it is treated for audio and soundproof and all that stuff, I have a video on my channel all about that as well. So check it out if you're interested in that.